Hi guys, get ready with me for the day while I talk about 3 controversial decisions that we have made when it comes to bringing our second baby into this world. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Chrissy. I am a Maltese mom living in Slovakia. I'm currently 38 weeks pregnant with our second baby, so baby could arrive any day now and I'm pretty nervous about that. But anyway, when I say controversial decisions, I'm not trying to start anything. I just really feel like certain decisions that we have made really sort of go against what most people do or what most people say. They are just decisions that we felt made most sense for us, for our family, and I know that it can be pretty hard and overwhelming to make certain choices, so I thought that this would be a cool video to sort of start certain conversations and maybe even help other parents who see things in the same way we do to make their own choices as well. So keep watching and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it and subscribe to my channel for more. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that I stopped working. This pregnancy, I stopped working much earlier, and it's not a case of taking maternity leave. It's like I've stopped until further notice. Let me go back in time a little bit just to give you a bit of context. So when I was pregnant with Ben, my first son, I left my full-time job. It was a good job, it was a well-paid job. I was a marketing manager, but I wasn't offered the flexibility that I wanted to be able to raise my son. I didn't want to send him to daycare. This was something that was like I felt very strongly about it, and I'm not going to get into that, but basically I didn't want to send him for ideally at least 1.5 to 2 years, which in some places is considered early still, but in Malta, if you are from Malta, you would know that a lot of babies are in daycare from even as early as like 4 months. So I didn't want that. I wasn't offered the flexibility, and so I left work and switched to freelance work. I work in marketing, and so I found a couple of clients, which was so helpful for me, obviously. But at the end of the day, I was still working, and by the time that Ben was 1 year and 5 months, it just got like impossible. It became impossible to do anything. He's a very, I don't like the word needy, but he is very attached to me, which was kind of the point. But he's also like, he really needs a lot of attention. And so being able to get any work done became impossible at that point. And so we decided to send him to daycare just for like 3 to 4 hours a day. He's only ever done half days, never done full days. We've been very careful about which daycares or schools we've chosen for him to make sure that they sort of align with our values, and also that they give us the time flexibility that we want. Again, if you're Maltese and you have a kid in daycare, you know that a lot of them have minimum hours that are like full-time basically, and that wasn't an option for us. It was not something that I wanted. So that being said, Ben is now almost 4. He's still in daycare, still on half days. And anyway, so bringing us back to this pregnancy, so I have been working freelance ever since. Being a freelancer but also a full-time mom with very little time to actually get work done, it can be quite challenging. It was becoming really difficult throughout my pregnancy, because this pregnancy has been brutal from the very beginning. It's been much harder than the first. And so originally our plan was that I would do a typical kind of maternity situation, but I was getting so overwhelmed with work because I wasn't coping, and I figured if I can't cope with the work that I have with only one child who's already in daycare for 3 to 4 hours a day, there is no way in hell that I'm going to manage to pull this off while also caring for a newborn baby, a young baby. The conversation that I had with Chris, my husband, was, and this is where it becomes controversial, because like I'm not judging, I'm not like pointing fingers at anyone here. This is purely my experience, my thoughts, my opinions, and like my own journey in motherhood. I felt like my kids deserve a calmer, happier, and more present mom. And with the workload that I had and the time that I have to do it, it just it wasn't making sense, and it didn't feel like it was right. Now in Slovakia, the government offers a scheme where you get sort of a parental grant for the first 3 years of your child's life. So that actually makes things so much easier for us, because typically kids start daycare at 3 years here, which is so different from what we're used to in Malta. Again, if you know, you know. So yeah, we had a good chat, we sat down, we spoke about it for a long time. This was like many hours of conversing and many tears on my part. At the end of the day, financially, I wasn't contributing a hugely significant amount, and I'm very grateful that my husband works as incredibly hard as he does, and he has the income that he has so that we can actually afford this lifestyle. It's a simple life, but it allows me to be home with our kids, and that's, to me, the dream and the goal. Many people say that a woman should have, you know, career aspirations and she shouldn't just sort of let herself go and get lost in motherhood. I don't see it that way. Again, not pointing fingers at any moms who, you know, keep prioritizing their career. This is purely just about me. From when I was very, very young, being a mom has always been my biggest dream. And so this to me is my career. I just don't get paid for it, unfortunately, which sucks. But anyway, at some point throughout the pregnancy, I was so unwell, I was so stressed, and I just wasn't a good or healthy version of myself. And so back in December, I had a good chat with Chris again, and we discussed that stopping work a few months earlier isn't actually going to make that much of a difference for us financially. And so I basically told my clients that I would be stopping by the end of January, and so yeah, I stopped work at the end of January, but I have been able to focus a little bit more on the projects that we have within the house, trying to prepare myself and our home for the arrival of the baby, and just sort of be healthier and be a little bit calmer. Unfortunately, life has also thrown a lot of crap our way, but that's, you know, not something we can control. But at least I've been able to put my focus into these things rather than be fully consumed with work and not be able to focus on the other things that need my attention, particularly my son. With regard to career aspirations, I wish that one day I can make a living out of this, so please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this sort of content so that you can help me to reach my goal one day to be a content creator, because I love doing this. I love making videos, sharing about my life and talking about maybe difficult topics that other people might find helpful or relatable. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I would love to be able to collaborate with other brands as well. I have no deals, I have no income from any of this. I don't have enough views or subscribers yet, but I believe that maybe I'll get there one day. I don't know, I'm just maybe just a bit delusional with it. It's happened to some, so it can happen to me. I could just keep blabbing on and going around in circles. But basically what I'm trying to say is I stopped work so that I can raise my children, and that is a decision that I am very passionate about and I am very proud of. It's not been easy, it's not necessarily the most common choice, but it was the right choice for us, and I'm very grateful to have a supportive husband and to be living in the circumstances that we are living in so that it makes it possible. That was a very long and detailed number one. I'm gonna grab my hair straightener now. By the way, ignore this. This is a heat rash. I'm okay. Everything's fine. I'm just feeling really hot. So for number two, the next controversial decision that I want to talk about is going back into the daycare topic. We are bringing our son out of daycare for a while. Now, this has brought about a lot of heat. I actually asked on Instagram for advice from other parents, and when I say that 95% of the messages, of the responses that I got were to keep Ben in daycare when the baby arrives. Now, there are three facets to this whole conundrum that I had about whether or not to keep him going to daycare when the baby arrives. I will go into more detail probably in another video another time about this, but basically just to sort of summarize, the three main reasons that I was thinking of keeping him out of daycare is number one, for germs, because daycare germs are insane and I didn't want to risk the baby getting sick. Number two, because I feel like bonding wise I would really like my son to be involved and sort of bond with the baby, be a part of the new routine, you know, just sort of soak in, because life at the end of the day is not going to be the same as usual, so I didn't want to sort of pretend that it is. And the third reason is logistics. Logistically, it is going to be very difficult if we did decide to keep sending him straight away. Daycare is a 20-minute drive away. We only have one car. I'm the one who usually does all the driving around, and the thought of having to drive him when I'm freshly postpartum. Like, it's a lot. But I was met with a resounding no about this. And I honestly felt really overwhelmed, and I thought maybe I'm crazy, or maybe I'm just delusional, or maybe I'm like overly paranoid. I just felt like no one else is making this choice. There were literally like 2 or 3 messages that I got where people were like, oh, keep him home, it's the right choice, you will love it, it's amazing. Hardly anyone sees it like that, it seems. So yeah, that was quite surprising to me, to be honest. Again, I'm not judging anyone for the choices that they make, but the more I thought about it and the more I talked to my husband about it, the more certain I was that the right choice for us is to take Ben out of daycare for a while. In fact, he's stopping this week. I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Tomorrow is his last day at school. And from week 39, he's going to be with me. I had to stop driving as well a while ago. We unfortunately have issues with our car, so we're driving a rental car, which is not as comfortable as our car. And driving was becoming very uncomfortable and feeling very unsafe for me. And so I had to stop driving a couple of weeks ago. My husband has been having to deal with so much more stress and like craziness to do the daycare run. Work is like in between where home and daycare is, so he has to go to daycare, go to work, go back to daycare, bring Ben back home, and then go back to work and then come home again. And it's just been really chaotic. And now that we're getting to the point where baby could essentially arrive any day, we figured we'll just send him for this week, and then the last week of the pregnancy I'll just keep him home and we'll be chill and we'll be happy, and Ben's happy to be home. I'm not worried about him going back. Yes, it's probably going to be a little bit hard for him, but I just feel like it's the right choice for us, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited for Ben to be home. Ben's excited to be home. I think it would be so good for him to really soak into the new routine and to get used to having to sort of share me, and you know, also help with taking care of the baby if he wants to. He knows that it is not in any way his responsibility to be taking care of the baby, but he is very keen. He wants to help out, he wants to join in. And yeah, I just, you know, we're really happy with our decision. This is not at all a common decision based on the information that I've received from many people. And so yeah, I thought that this was kind of an important one to mention, because maybe if you are about to have a second baby and you're trying to decide whether to take your kid out of daycare, something's telling you that you should, but everyone else is telling you that you shouldn't. I say, this is a very weird look. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but I am telling you to follow what your gut says and not necessarily what all the other people say. We have spoken to the director and we received full support from their end, which has also been very helpful. And yeah, he will be home for probably somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. We haven't decided exactly. We will decide when to send him back based on my recovery, based on the baby and the routine and everything. Like, just we'll see what makes sense for us, but probably a minimum of 6 weeks, I would say, is how long he's going to be home, and I am very excited about that. Also really nervous, because like, I don't know how the heck I'm gonna handle it, but that's a whole other thing. And for the third and final point of this video, this one again, I think like all of these are just so strongly felt about. We have decided that we will be having no visitors for the baby, specifically from abroad. We live away from our families, and we have had some family members asking if we would like them to come and visit, and our answer is a resounding no. I also, like, even if we were living in Malta, I wouldn't even want anyone visiting us in hospital, and definitely not visiting us at home anytime too soon after the baby is born. There are two main reasons for this. Number one is the germs. You might say that I'm overly paranoid. I probably am, but I'm okay with that. I would rather be a little bit extra paranoid and know that I'm keeping the baby as safe as possible, rather than taking too many chances. Airport germs are just something that I'm not really willing to risk so much. And also, I do really believe in the like sanctuary of the postpartum sort of bubble where, you know, you can just be home with the baby, maybe go for some walks, and then eventually when we feel ready we can go out and maybe meet some friends outdoors, and, you know, just kind of keep it as germ-free and as relaxing and as open as possible, without any pressure of anyone wanting to hold the baby, anyone wanting to meet the baby, anyone just sort of being up in my business. Because I like my space, I like my privacy. It's a very personal choice. So that is our decision. We are very private people in a sense. We are not people who like to get about much. We do have friends here. I'm sure we'll be seeing those at some point after our baby is born, but we're in no rush for that. I know that many people again see this very differently, and they like to have that sort of sense of community. I know that community is definitely important. To me, the most important thing has always been support and just having someone to talk to, and video calls are perfect for that because you can end them as soon as you need to. You can maintain the privacy that you need, and all this stuff. So yeah, we have decided that we will have no visitors for a while after the baby is born. And so those are the 3 controversial decisions that we have made. The most controversial decisions, I'm sure there have been some more. But yeah, why am I sharing all of this? I am, again, not trying to judge anyone. I think to each their own, make the decisions that make sense for you. The reason I wanted to share this is because I really do feel like going against the status quo can be quite challenging. In my case, I don't have a hard time doing what I feel is best, but I'm sure that there are other mums and dads out there who sort of feel like, are we the only ones making this decision? Does that mean it's wrong? Should we not do that? So if that's you, let me know. And also, I think just an important thing to mention in connection with all of these choices that we've made is my priority is not only the safety of the baby and the unity of my family, but also protecting myself postpartum. I am susceptible to mental health struggles. I have OCD, I have anxiety, I have struggled with depression before, and when Ben was born, all of these things were amplified. And so these choices that we are making, yes, in some ways they might make life more difficult, but at the end of the day, I know that these choices are to protect me and my mental health. And I think that that is such an important aspect, like to look at it from that perspective as well, because if I'm not okay, the family unit is not okay, because I feel like I'm the glue that holds the family together. You know, I'm the carer of everyone, and if I'm not okay and I can't take care of myself, I can't be able to take care of my babies, I can't take care of our home, I can't take care of my husband, and you know, he's doing so much already, and I don't want more to be falling onto him. We're a team. This is my role to play, and we are going to make sure that I am in the best shape and in the best mental health to be able to carry my role through. I think that all of these decisions are going to make my entire experience as a new mom of 2 much easier. So on that note, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts about it. If you have made similar decisions to us, please let me know. Reach out. I do like to know that I'm not alone in some things. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, bye.